Yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, and I'm bringing you a new potential series. That all depends on you as whether it turns into a series or not. But as you might know, there are lots of virtual tabletop applications out there, websites and stuff such as Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, and one that got released just in May, I believe it was May 26th, is called Foundry Virtual Tabletop, or Foundry VTT. And we're going to take a look at that today. So let's just start by how do you get Foundry VTT? Well, first of all, if you're the GM or if you're the game master, then you need to get Foundry VTT. If you're not, if you're a player, you do not need to get Foundry VTT in order to play, and I will show you why. So let's go ahead and first show you how to get Foundry VTT if you are the game master. So if you simply go to foundryvtt.com, you will come to this page right here. Now, and I always get that weird cookie thing, I'm not sure why, but anyway. So as you can see here, there's a nice little video about it. You can click on this link right here, excuse me, and you can purchase it. It's best if you have an account, so you might want to create the account, log in, and then go ahead and do this. Because it will want you to have an actual account so it can give you a key and everything. Once you do that, it's only $50. Now, this is one of the many shining points of Foundry VTT, is the fact that it's only $50. That's all the GM will have to shell out in order to get this product. Now, really quick, while mentioning such a great benefit to it, there is a downside that it is not licensed like with Wizards of the Coast or something like that. So the most that they can legitimately give you with it is just the SRD. So that's the free content that Wizards of the Coast will give you for Dungeons Dragons 5e. You can still play the game. You have a fair amount of classes and races and all the other things, spells and items, but it's not the complete thing. Now, there are modules that you can either join a Patreon for example, for a D&D Beyond one, there's a $5 a month Patreon that is being worked on that allows you to actually grab things from D&D Beyond. There's other ones that allow you to grab stuff from Roll20. So it's not like you're, up a creek without a paddle, I guess. Up a creek, a river, whatever. So anyway, that's all you have to do to get it. It's $50, and come down here, put in your information as far as your card and stuff goes, and you just double click it, install it, tell it where you want it to go, and there you go. Now, really quick, so Foundry VTT, as it says here, is a standalone application built for experiencing multiplayer tabletop RGBs using feature-rich and modern hosted applications where your players connect directly through a browser. So there you go. Your players don't have to have the actual software. They will connect kind of like you would with Roll20. However, you are your own server. Now, there are ways of getting it on the cloud, which are nice. But if you do some port forwarding at your home router, you can actually host your own games. We're not going to get into great detail on this. This is kind of just a teaser, if you will. So basically, there are 6 guiding principles for Foundry VTT. As you can see here, there's offer a one-time purchase for GMs where players can connect for free. That one is really epic. Relentlessly innovate using powerful and modern web technologies, empowering community developers with the best in-class API modding tools. This is a really shining one right there. Foundry VTT is you can write modules, you can write scripts and stuff like that using JavaScript. It uses it heavily uses JSON for the saving of the files and stuff. So it's is very moddable. Almost anything, if you know JavaScript and the Java language and stuff, you could probably make it do almost anything you want. I'm not going to say anything you want, just because there will be those couple things that maybe it's just outside the scope of its ability. You own your own content, no dependencies on external services, and no feature gating. Provide powerful system agnostic framework that can be extended for homebrew, and then incorporate direct integrations to other helpful game mastering tools. So there you go. Those are kind of the 6 guiding principles of Foundry VTT. Now, in my personal opinion, Foundry VTT has the potential to really compete with the big boys out there. It has some awesome features that I haven't really seen in a one-time pay type of situation, but it's really good. So let's go ahead and go into what it looks like after you've installed Foundry VTT. So when you launch it, you will be greeted with a little window, most likely, that asks you for a access key, or the serial key basically, and then you will be brought to this page. This is just the loading screen. So basically in here you have your update software for updating it. You have configuration for setting your configurations. You can change what port it listens to. The default is 30,000. You can change where your user data path is. The default path for it is actually in your app data. So if you do a percent app data, all one word, percent, it will take you into your profile, app data, into the roaming, and in there you'll find Foundry VTT in there. I like to separate mine out just where I know exactly where it is. I put it in my documents basically, and then in a folder called Foundry VTT. There's information here. If you have multiple worlds but you want it to always load one specific one, you can just choose which one you always want it to load. You can change that later. And then you can also set it up so that it works in the cloud type technologies. With AWS, you can add certificate if it needs it, so on and so forth. Has lots and lots of modules. Modules are really easy to load in it. When you come in here, you can actually say check for update individually. You can click the update all, and you'll see it'll go down the list and it will check if there's any updates. You can see the current version of a module right here. So for example, dice tray, I know that one's quick in the list that we're going to look at, is 510. So if we click on install modules, this will actually go and get all the modules that different creators have been making. And as you can see, there are boatloads of them, and they're not all for 5e. Some might be for Pathfinder. I know down here we have some that I don't know if this is a translation in Spanish for 5e, but then you also have some down here, translations for Pathfinder, so on and so forth. You can always check what version it is. So if we go, dice trays usually, I don't know, I'm not going to worry about it. But you can check the version here, make sure it's there. Then you just click install, and that's it. It installs it for you and sets it up for you. There's also the game systems. Game systems follows the same type of thing. You can see here we are running 092. If we go to install system, we can see that Dungeons and Dragons is right here, 5th edition 092, so I know I don't need an update, but I can actually see if there's been any updates. It is a good idea usually with your game system, if there has been an update, to uninstall the old one and then reinstall a new one. This will not hurt any of your data as it's being completely compartmentalized from that, so to speak. But you can also just click the update all if you have multiple, or you can click that. Finally, we have the game worlds. So I have a test one that I wanted to show you some stuff with. But when you install a game world, or not install it, well, this is I'm assuming, I haven't really seen this, but I'm assuming what you do is you get the manifest URL for someone's game world, which means it's on GitHub or something like that. And then you can click install after doing that, and it will actually add a world. But if we do create a world, I just want to show some quick features. So you have your world title, which will be whatever you want to call it. Here we call it test world. The kind of important one here is the data path. This is where it goes, and you'll see it starts at data on worlds and then world hyphen name. It's a good idea with Java and lots of other types of programming languages to try and emit using spaces, because those can sometimes wreak havoc. So here you can see in this example, this isn't actually words, this just is kind of an example. As soon as you start typing, it goes away. But as you can see, there's a hyphen there. So world hyphen name, you could do world and then get rid of that and put an uppercase N for name for camel case, or whatever you want. But you kind of want to probably follow that just to make sure that you're not going to run into issues. Then you choose your game system. This will actually go look at what game systems you have installed, and it will let you choose the game system. If you want to have a background image for where all your users will connect to your system, then you can add an image. You can also actually plan when your next session is. So when people connect, if you leave this up in the cloud or something like that, then they can always connect and see when the next session is. And then you have it's not full rich text, but you can actually do a whole lot of stuff with your description, and this works with all the different things. When you're laying out your adventure and stuff, you actually have quite a bit of tools that you can use, and I actually have an example of those right here in my world one. You have like your heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I don't know if I'd ever use 6. That is way too small for me. But as you can see, you have headings, you have inline stuff. This is where you can highlight things and actually turn it into that type of text. You have blocks for your blocks of text. You have alignment, and you have custom. So here you can see that we have all our headings, we have our inline text, we have our block text, we have our alignment. We then move over here and we have bullets, we have images that we can stick in here. We have tables we can do. We can also do links. So you actually can do quite a lot with not just your world description, but in general. So here's what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you really quick kind of the pathing that it uses, because it kind of uses it based off of where your data is. So if we click on this image, for example, and click the image, you'll see it starts here with worlds, and then we use forward slashes because it's Java instead of backslashes. The forward slash shares the key with the question mark, and then test world images and circle avatar JPG, or PNG I mean. Then we can also restrict its actual height. This image is actually a 512, I believe. So if we go and look at the folder structure, and also remember this one, this is where our test world actually is located. So if we come in here, we can see that Foundry VTT is right here. Here's the data, so that's actually where it's starting. Here is our worlds, which was our test world, right? Or here's our test world, I mean, where we had in this one with our images. Inside world we had test world, and then we had images, and then there's circled PNG. So it actually starts within the data directory, and that's kind of a good thing to keep in mind as you're laying out these paths. So in the background D&D here, you'll notice that if we go back into our data directory, right from data here we have backgrounds, and then there's our background D&D. So now that we've done this, once we've got this far, and then we can actually click on launch world or delete world. This is what the main screen is. You can actually see our world description, all that stuff. You can select your players. Inside the world is where you actually configure your players, and I've added my daughter and my son, and I'm the game master. You can give an optional password to it or the access key, And then of course you can also show when your next game is, how many players are set up to be able to get there. So as you can see, we have 3 here, so it's saying 3 here. This is not editable. And then there's 0 connected currently. Let's go ahead and connect up my daughter real quick, or my son, I guess it doesn't matter. So all they have to do is, because this is being hosted directly on my system here, all they have to do is do localhost. If this were you know, through the internet, then I would have to give an IP address, but this is easy right here. And there's the 30,000. Whoops, 30,000. And bam, there you go. Now right now, because when I do my videos, I try and make the window size that you see 1280 by 720. So that's why we're getting this little error right here saying, hey, this is pretty squished. You might run into issues. Another note is, if you get things like this, sometimes they will never disappear. The only way to make them disappear is you just click on them. Pretty easy, right? Alright, so now that we have that all loaded, all we have to do is select our player. We can choose DerbyFam here and hit join session. You'll see that even before we've actually logged into the session ourselves, our players are able to get in. So I'm going to go and type in an access key. And there we go. So I'm going to move this window out of the screen just a little bit so we can see DerbyFam in this window. And once again, we got that little pop-up with the error, but that's okay. What I want to show you is here in her window, you can see Game Master, right? You can see a little thing here saying that's the Game Master's mouse. And over in this window, if I can do it, right here, you can actually see, oh man, I always forget that part. You can actually see DerbyFam. So you can actually see your different players and their mouse cursors and stuff like that. With this system, you're able to share images and stuff. If we went into our journal entry here and say, well, this is Stonehill Inn. We want to share a picture of it with our players, or we want to share the actual text. Once again, our text, as I was showing, has all those options for making it nice and cool. And go back to image. So if you want to share an image with your players, all you have to do is click show players and it will pull up on their screen. You don't have to worry about them being able to access that text as well. As you can see, all they can see is the image. They only have the option to close it, so they can close it when they're done. Let's go ahead and line these guys back up so you can see everything. So, and close that. So now in order to move the screen like this, I'm used to Fantasy Grounds, so you're going to see me doing this a whole lot. That is because this is middle click for selecting, or deselecting, I guess. Right click is actually how you move the screen. In Fantasy Grounds, it's kind of opposite. You middle click to move the screen, you right click to pull up the radio menu. So as you can see here, we have a character named Brindy. You can actually see DerbyFam has claimed Brindy. We also have up here a couple bad guys just to show what they look like on the screen. We're not going to go into great detail about them. But we can also see here we have lots of lines here. And these are your different types of walls, whether they're terrain walls, whether they're hidden walls or doors or whatever. They're all different kinds of structures that obstruct vision in some shape, way, or form. So if we click on Brindy here, oh whoops, I have to go back into play mode. We click on Brindy, you can also see where this is one of the things where this shines quite a bit over Fantasy Grounds is not only does it have line of sight, as you can see if we turn around here, let me hold shift, you can see we're being blocked by walls here. We cannot see through the walls. But we also have our bright, like if we were in a dark room like we are right now, for example, we have where our vision is bright up to 30, and then up to 60 we have where we can see 60 feet. I'm being blocked by that table. See, I can't go over the table. So this is really cool. You also have the option of changing the color of this. You have the option of making it 360 degrees. I think more realistically, it would be this type of angle because you're looking from you. You can't see what's behind you normally. So I kind of like this kind of layout where I believe it's 160 is what I'm using. If we go into our player, we can actually look at the vision options. We can say where dim vision is up to 60, bright vision's up to 30. We can also say emitting light wise. So light, the color that we're emitting, we can change. We can also change, how far the dim light is being emitted and how far the bright light is being emitted. Like I said, a lot of this stuff, we're just perusing over this stuff right now. So as we move her around, you'll see as the GM, I can just move her anywhere. But as a player, they're limited. You'll see here we have a lock. And if they click on it, they get that sound. If you want to be able to change the direction you're facing because of the lighting and stuff, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can actually hold down shift and hit the arrow keys to instantly look in the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. Or if you hold shift and you mouse wheel over it, you can move in 15-degree intervals to find those. If you don't have the mouse, then you're just zooming in. If you don't hold down shift, you're just zooming in and out of the screen. So some other really cool things about this that isn't necessarily player centric. Let's go ahead and do this. There we go. Excuse me. Is we can also set up our lighting in our room. Like we have a fireplace here. We have a bunch of little lanterns on the table. We can make it so these are time sensitive. So if we go into lighting and we double click on one of these, you can see once again we can change the color of them. We can change the rotation if we have it not be 360 degrees that it's emitting light. We can change the dim and bright radius, their actual position in the map. We can make them so they're a local light so they don't shine through walls, or we can make them a global light as if it were the sun. And then we can also set up this, which is darkness threshold. When we change the light level of the entire map, when this hits 0.25 all the way up to, I believe it's 1, it will actually turn on this light. So we can actually set up different lights to actually be at different intervals. We can see this right now. We're at full transition of day. If we were to transition to night, we'll see the different lights coming on at different points. I think this is like the first one. There it went. There that one went. We should see one of these. There goes that one, and finally when it's as dark as it gets, there goes the fireplace. So this gives you a good example of the even the hue that it can give. And you'll notice the hue actually goes over all other things, kind of gives a nice effect there. So as you can see in here, we kind of give it an orange. This turns on when it's a full dark. You can make it so the translucency or the opacity on it is different, to make it however you want. And then also I've also, because this is kind of in a fireplace, I tried to make it so it doesn't necessarily go behind it very well. So lots of things you can do with light. However, you can also do the same type of thing with music. So if we come back out, actually let's make it day real quick so we can see. You'll see these lights turn off in the opposite order that they turned on. This one, finally that one I believe. Or maybe it already did, I don't know. You can also do the same thing with sounds. So with sounds, we can actually have, for example, we can set up a soundboard. So if we wanted to call this soundboard, SOUNDBOARD. I don't know how this is going to work with that other screen up in the background. We might hear double sounds. But with your sounds, you actually have option of having it do a sequential play where it's one at a time. You have the option of having it do a shuffle play. So if you have a list of music, a playlist, you can do that. You have it the option of having it do all the sounds at once. So if you want overlapping sounds. And then you also have this one that is called soundboard only. So if we want to create a soundboard, we'll go in here and you'll notice that it has the path. We can actually just navigate to it. I know that I put them in sounds. This is soundboard, so let's just do spell. We have some options here of uploading a file. Yeah, I think that's it. It's the other one that has more options. So now if we update this, you'll see under here we have this and we have a little play. So now if we click play, we get a nice little spell sound. We can control how loud it is. This might be loud, I apologize. I guess it wasn't too bad. But we can set it up like that. The other thing we can do with the little music symbols here is we can actually set up ambient sounds. So if we click on that, and let's say maybe over here's like a little stage and we have some people playing. Now you'll notice that the music here is also following the rules of the light. It does not go through walls. You can see that it actually is kind of going through the window as if it were open, but the walls are actually blocking. You have just a sliver going through that window right there, but ultimately doesn't go through the walls. So let's go ahead and choose our music real quick. Where did I put the music? Oh, it has some built-in ones. Let's see if we go to, oh, there we go, user data. That's what we wanted. So if we go into sounds here, then music, I have some tavern music. Now this one has some options that we can do once it's set up. I need to select the file. So once we have here, we have our options. So we have this volume easing, which means the closer we are to the epicenter, the louder it will be. The further away we are, the quieter it will be. We can also change it so that it's over the whole map. If we have that, then really this doesn't do anything. You'll notice, well, I guess we can still select it. Well, no, I guess that would make sense. You could still volume ease, but you could hear it even through walls and stuff like that. It won't do it local to where it is. There's its position. This is its sound radius. As you can see, it's only doing 108, I guess. So we're going to do volume easing, and we'll turn the volume up. Hopefully that doesn't get way too loud, but I guess we'll see. So now if we do update sound, and we go back to person, here you notice we can't hear it at all, and as we get closer into that center, you'll see it actually gets louder as we get in there. Hopefully hit a table. So that is what sound easing is. Ignore my wife's alarm. Apparently she just left her phone on the table over there. Alright, so anyway, that's some of the features. I don't know, I don't want to really go into everything. I would like to save that. If you guys are interested in seeing tutorials on this, there is tons of stuff in here. I mean, as the player, you don't see quite as much because it doesn't make sense that they do. As you can see here, she has very few options. There's things for like measuring distance, so I could click on that. Actually, I think it's this one is what I wanted. So I could say, oh yeah, I am 60 feet from the light here. Yep, that's right. It goes away. There's also, like, if I want to check out, I have a cone. I can actually do this and okay, so that's 40-foot cone. Right there, it's being blocked by the walls and stuff. So you have all these really cool other options that you can do. If we go in here, you can actually see what they're doing. There's, combat tracker, there's compendiums. This is the stuff I was telling you about, the SRD. So if we come into the compendium, you can see that there's a couple here that say just D&D classes, D&D spells. This is where I was trying to kind of compile my own from the player's handbook and stuff. We're going to hear that till the end of the video. I really do apologize. So you see we have Monster SRD. All these are the SRDs that it comes with. They also give you these starter heroes, so you can, if you want to just get going really quick, you can actually see your different starter heroes. You can see, you know, they're all rolled out for you, all configured, and you can just, you know, drag one into your actors area and go. So that is it. I think I'm going to call it here. We're at 30 minutes. I don't really want to go much over that. If you are interested in seeing this as more of a tutorial series, such as my Fantasy Grounds Unity from the ground up, we can do a Foundry VTT from the ground up. So let me know what you guys want. Like I said, I really think this has a huge potential of becoming a very big contender for the ones that are out there, if not become the top dog. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. Don't forget about my great big game giveaway. That requires you to join my Discord. But I am now 11 away from 1,000 subs. 11 subs away from giving away 57 Steam games. And 1 copy of Fantasy Grounds Standard Classic Edition. So that's it, guys. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.